What the hell are you doing?
Good question. I suppose the answer is, I'm not certain.
Oh no, what are you doing?
I'm not sure. Idea.
After season 1 of Rick and Morty introduced the world to, well, Rick and Morty, season 2 came back strong with an episode showcasing there were consequences to events from the first season. And that's a fact, so you don't have to worry about splitting this reality. I'm Dave Klein, and get ready to jump into another amazing breakdown of Rick and Morty. I think. Whoa! Wait a second.
Hell?
Was that supposed to happen? This is the coolest thing to ever happen to me. A Rickle in Time opens right where the season 1's finale left off. Time is frozen so Rick, Morty, and Summer can fix the house before Beth and Jerry get home. The name, A Rickle in Time, is a play on the book A Wrinkle in Time, written by Madeleine L'Engle. The book involves its protagonist traveling through space and time in order to save Meg Murray's father, who has gotten trapped on the dark planet Cambizotes. Considering the state of things at the end of season 1, the trio did an impressive job fixing the house considering its terrible state, and just about everything. Except for Mr. Benson.
Wait a minute, what? Away we go!
R.I.P. Mr. Benson. Oh wait, never mind. He turns out to be fine. Also at the end of the episode, we can see the crack in the pavements is still there. After fixing time, Rick and Summer's uncertainty about what action they'll take causes their time to fracture into 2 equally possible impossibilities. There are 2 original and different versions of how this happens, with the first being shown in an animatic. In the first draft, the time quake, as Rick calls it, happens more spur of the moment.
You know, 1 minute you're falling off a roof, 3 months later, bam, 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 bam. Time quake!
On the second draft, this has now become due to uncertainty. Instead, this was now caused by Rick making fun of Morty for wearing short shorts. In the final version, we see the sibling rivalry of Summer and Morty causing it. Summer, who finally starts to see more character development this season, starting with this episode. To prove his point about how screwed they are, Rick opens the garage to showcase their lack of existing on any timeline, which is now littered with Schrodingers cats. I'm going to try not to get too in the weeds with this, but Schrodinger's cat being a famous scientific thought experiment. While Schrodinger originally intended it as a critique of the prevailing quantum mechanics theory of the time, Copenhagen interpretation, it has become more so a way to showcase it. The very general and diluted idea being that a cat, poison, and radioactive source are placed in a sealed box. There is an exactly equal possibility an atom will decay, which will cause the poison to release and kill the cat. According to the Copenhagen interpretation, if one has left this entire system to itself for an hour, one would say that the cat still lives if meanwhile no atom has decayed. The first atomic decay would have poisoned it. The psi function of the entire system would express this by having it in the living and dead cat, pardon the expression, mixed or smeared out in equal parts. There can be a point where the cat is both alive and dead at the same time, but the viewer will only witness one of these states. There are various interpretations of this experiment, but in pop culture, this oftentimes is used to showcase the idea of 2 equal possibilities, with the observer having an equal chance of seeing a dead or alive cat when opening the box.
I assume they're Schrodinger's cats. Or actually, I assume they both are and aren't, just like us.
And in a fun random note, Yale physicists actually discovered a solution to Schrodinger's cat this very year. Rick attempts to fix time, however, Summer and Morty's uncertainty has already screwed them to the point where they've already created alternate, but equally possible realities. Rick fails to fix time a second time, this time causing another rift by his own mess-up. All of this leads to 4th dimensional being Shleemy Pants. Or, as we better know him, Testicle Monster, coming in to fix the time rift and arrest the 3 due to Rick stealing a time crystal. Him being a 4th dimensional being is a reference to the common perception that the 4th dimension is time. This is a reference to the fact that prior to Einstein, it was commonly believed that there were 3 geometrical dimensions with an entirely separate dimension of time. It was Einstein who merged these concepts together with his famous work on special relativity and the equation we all now know, E equals mc squared. This entire idea is referenced at the very end of the video when the testicle monster and his buddy mistake Albert Einstein for Rick Sanchez. After beating him up, Einstein is inspired to work on special relativity.
You don't know with time, mother. I will mess with time. I will mess with time.
Thank you, Testicle Monsters, for helping move mankind forwards. These fourth-dimensional beings were voiced by Key and Peele. And speaking of the Testicle Monsters, these beings were directly inspired by the Time Eaters of Stephen King's The Langoliers. In the DVD commentary, the 3-hour TV miniseries adaptation is specifically referenced, and would seem that the look is directly taken from the film's time-consuming monsters.
No. Daddy, no! Make them go away! Please make them go away! Happy goodbye!
Originally, the Time Lord / Testicle Monster of Rick and Morty was going to be more of a monster with a battle, but the team thought a battle during the second half of the episode wasn't a fitting conclusion. As it stands, Summer and Morty believe in the fourth-dimensional being to fix time over Rick's failed attempts, leading to him to gripe that...
What, you're just gonna listen to this guy now? He's got a giant testicle for a head. He came here in a bubble. For all we know, he could be the David Berkowitz of Nutsack Land.
For those of you not up on your true crime, David Berkowitz is a famous 70s serial killer with the nicknames Son of Sam and the .44 caliber killer. While Rick, Morty, and Summer are dealing with fixing time and not going to time prison, Beth and Jerry are on their own B-story adventure involving Jerry accidentally hitting a deer with his car and Beth trying to save the deer despite being a horse doctor. In my opinion, it's not the strongest B-story we've seen in the show, and Justin Roiland admitted as much in the DVD commentary, with the team talking about how they decided to make the B-story much more simple, as the A-story was so complicated and difficult for them to write. The original idea for the B-story was that with every single time quake, as it's called in the original animatic, Beth and Jerry would keep repeating events without realizing it, and with the time quakes affecting those events. As an example, they may be talking to a group of people in one moment, then in the next it's prehistoric times and the same conversation is happening. This would also be referencing Kurt Vonnegut's Timequake book. This sounds like a really cool concept, and I actually hope it's re-explored in future seasons. When Beth decides to bring the deer Jerry hid to an animal hospital so she can perform surgery on it, all the new characters are voiced from former members of Mr. Show, a 90s sketch comedy series. Jay Johnston voiced the Cold Stone Creamery employee, Tom Kenny the hunter, Jill Talley the veterinarian, and Paul F. Tompkins the lawyer. That wraps up everything I could find for Season 2's Return of Rick and Morty. While I didn't love the B story of this episode, I absolutely love everything to do with the A story, including the time riffs and especially the spoof on Schrodinger's cat. Let us know if there's anything I missed in the comments below and what you thought of this episode overall, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.